Here we go. Review for linear 4. We're reviewing for the test. Okay, so question number 1 says, Terry was emptying out his change jar and counted the pennies and dimes first. If the total value of pennies, P, and dimes, D, was $1.50, then write an equation that represents the situation. How much money is a penny worth?
1 cent.
1 cent. So how would we write that?
0.1.
That's 10 cents. 0.01. So for our equation, we would put 0.01. Do you think we're attaching the P or the D to this? The P, because that's the value of a penny. Plus, what's the value of a dime?
1 cent. Oh, 1.1.
0.1.
A dime?
A dime. 10 cents. Or you could say 0.10, so you can see that it's 10 cents. And then we're attaching what to this?
The D.
The D. And how much does this equal?
How is that equal? Something. 150.
150. Where P represents the number of pennies and D represents the number of dimes. Does everybody understand why we set this equation up like this? Your clue to why we should attach the value of the penny and the dime is because they gave us a value of how much it was worth whenever they counted it all up, right? So that's why we use the value of those variables. Okay, number 2 says solve and graph. So we have 10x is greater than 3 times x minus 5 plus 29. So the first thing we need to do, Nehemiah, is get rid of our, what are we going to get rid of? What are these things? Parentheses. So we're going to do what? Distribute. Distribute means we are going to multiply the value in front of the parentheses with everything that's inside of the parentheses. So when we do that, we got 10x is greater than 3 times x gives me 3x. 3 times negative 5 gives me a negative 15. And then we just bring that plus 29 down.
Let's go.
Okay, so in order to solve for x, we got to get all of our x's together. So you can see how I have this 10x on the left side of the inequality and the 3x on the right side? Which one are we going to subtract?
3x.
The 3x. Remember, we always want to pick on the little guy. Because that's how we are. So, no, we're talking about numbers. Okay, so whenever we subtract 3x from both sides, we end up with 7x is greater than, this zeroes out, negative 15 plus 29. What can I do with this negative 15 and 29?
Add them.
I'm going to add them together. So that would give me what?
It would give you
14? So negative 15 plus 29 gives you 14, not a half. There's no half there. And then to get x completely by itself, we divide everything by 7, and we find that x is greater than 2. How come we did not need to switch our inequality? We did not divide by a negative value. Very good. Okay, so now, let's say this is 2. And which way are we going? We have an open circle because we don't have the equal to sign. And we are going to the right. After graphing, is 0 a solution? So 0 would be about right here. No, why not? Because it is not on the right side of the 2.
correct.
It is not a part of the solution set. Everybody understand? Awesome. Let's put a box around our little answer right here.
What did you say? It's not on the left side?
It's not on the right side of the 2, where all of our solutions are at. Nehemiah, we're not done.
I was just asking about this calculator. I don't know how to work. Are you being recorded?
Yeah, he's being recorded. Hello.
Is my name on it, bro? Yeah.
We're about to find out. Nope.
Bruh.
Christian. Here you go, Christian.
There you go.
You're needed. Okay, number 3 says, Whitney's Wonderful Windshields charges $2.45 per mile. Per mile, a technician has to travel plus $150 for the windshield itself. When Henry received his bill, it was more than $200. So we need to set up an inequality. So this more than tells me that my inequality is greater than, like this, right? Okay, so it says 245 per mile. So what do I need to have attached to that? The X. So I'd have 245X. And then it said plus 150 for the windshield itself.
That's gonna be your, that's what you.
That y-intercept, very good, Nehemiah. So plus 150. And this is more than how much? $200. So now they want us to solve the inequality, right? So that means we have to get x by itself. But before we can deal with the 245 that's attached to the x, we have to deal with this 150. So we're going to subtract the 150 from both sides. And we find that we have 245x is greater than 50. Because this is zeroing out on this side. And now what do we do? We're going to divide everything by 2.45. And we find that x is greater than what? 20.4. So did the technician drive more than 20.4 miles? Yeah, so let's say the technician, we're just going to put a tech, drove, can we say 21 miles? Because that's more than 20.4, right?
You're right.
So what would be an example of how much he didn't drive?
Tech drove 1 mile.
1 mile. Tech only drove. It's not tech, we just said. We would call it a tech.
Oh,
Let me see.
Oh my gosh, just do stat edit. And then convert your decimal to a fraction.
Yeah, but it comes out as a positive, and that's a negative. Wait, that was a different one. No, it comes out to that one. It was as negative 45.
Yes, if you play.
I don't know why it's not. You're sure you didn't do anything wrong there? Just choose C then.
Are you sure? What if I get it wrong?
Then, I don't know. Sure, a lot of people did.
Got it wrong?
I don't know. Alexa didn't because she got 100. Okay, number 4 says, write the equation of a line in all 3 forms that passes through 6, negative 19, and negative 1, 16. So Nehemiah, the first thing I'm going to do, because I was given 2 points, where they're wanting me to write all these forms from those 2 points, I'm going to set up a table, right? Because I need to know what's going to be contained in all these. My slope. I'm going to have my slope for it. So I would have 6, negative 19, and negative 1, 16. Now, if I use stat edit, won't it give me my actual slope-intercept form? So let's do it like that.
We don't want to do it that way. We don't want to go the hard way.
What? So we have 6, negative 1, negative 19, 16. So I'm going to go back to stat, to calc. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. 4. All right, so Carter, since you're wanting to talk so much, right? Tell me how I'm supposed to write the slope-intercept form. Not till I'm done. 5x plus 11. Very good. Okay, so now I need to get it in point slope. So to use to write it in point slope, I only need 1 point, right? Okay, so let's just use this one right here. So remember, I have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So here I'm going to have y minus what?
Y plus 19.
So it's going to end up becoming a plus, right, because of the 2 negatives. So y plus 19 equals negative 5 times x minus 6. Very good.
To turn it into standard, right, we just like.
I'm fixing to show you.
For in white.
That's how it's X over Y, right?
For what? It's y over x.
Where'd you get the 5 from?
Why are you recording?
From here.
Why are you recording this, Colin?
Because this is going on YouTube.
YouTube?
Hey, how
I'm
many
about to be
subscribers
famous.
you got?
Make sure you ask
Huh?
yourself.
How many subscribers you got?
Not enough to get paid for it. Okay, so remember for standard form, I just need it to now be ax plus by equals c, right? So when you're looking at the slope-intercept form, the only thing I need to do is move the 5x back, or the negative 5x back over, right, to be with the y?
Yeah.
So I would do what to move it?
You need to literally bring it down.
Put the 5 on the other.
Right, but how do I do it? I have to do some type of operation. Nehemiah, do not turn around and face Carter anymore.
You're erasing my head.
Oh, wait, you could.
Carter, please leave him alone. Let me just get through this review.
You could put the Y on the.
No, I need to move this one over here because look, I need to get x and y on the same side, right, with each other to get it in standard form. So the only thing that's keeping it from being like that is this. I need to move this negative 5x, and like Leo said, we need to add 5x to both sides.
No, that's what I said.
So now we would have 5x plus y equals 11. That would be our standard form.
That's it? How
Yep.
many questions is the test?
If our slope was a fraction, you would have to first multiply everything by the denominator before you move that 5x over, or the x value over. But it wasn't like that.
They were on number 5.
Yeah, I know, because it's taking forever to get through this, because you are talking too much.
Why you trying to erase
Number 5 says convert to slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form, if you'll remember, is y equals mx plus b. So we want to get y by itself here. The only thing that's keeping y from being by itself is this 6. So I'm just going to divide everything by 6. So 14 divided by 6, I can't really divide that out. So it's going to end up being 7 over 3 x minus 1 equals y. To reduce it, we reduce 14 over 6 to 7 over 3. Huh?
Oh, yeah, it's just 1.
Okay, so what is my slope?
7 over 3.
What's my y-intercept? Negative 1. Okay, number 6 says the graph of a linear function is shown. Which equation is best represented by the graph? Okay, so notice how all of these are in standard form, right? But what can we find from standard form?
Look.
Our x and y intercepts, right? So I need to find the one that has a y-intercept of 3 and an x-intercept of 6. Okay, so whenever I have this one right here, to find the x-intercept, when I say 6x equals negative 18, I divide everything by 6, and I see that x equals negative 3. Does that one work? No, because I'm looking for an x-intercept of what? Of 6. So we know it's not f. So over here I'm going to do the same thing. 3x equals, because I said 6x equals negative 18. Remember, this is when we're looking for the x and y-intercept. If we're looking for the x-intercept, we're going to leave out the y. If we're looking for the x-intercept, or if we're looking for the y-intercept, we're leaving out the x. So, oh.
I know the answer. Cap.
So is this one going to work when I have 6 equals negative 6?
No.
No. Again, we already know whenever I take 6 and divide it by 18, I get what? 3. But I don't have an x-intercept of 3, it's 6. Here, if I were to say 18 divided by 3, I would get 6, correct? So it has to be J. And you can also see when I say 6, or 18 divided by 6, y would equal 3, which is my y-intercept. The x and y intercepts? Don't worry, I'll have an anchor chart.
Anchor chart?
Those things that I hang up on the wall over there where it says need help, look here.
Oh.
Okay, number 7 says solve for the intercepts and use your answer to match the intercepts with one of the graphs below. So for the x-intercept, we're going to leave out the 8y, correct? Right, Leo? Say yes, Leo. Okay, so that means I would have 2x equals negative 12. So I'm going to divide everything by 2, and I find that my x-intercept is negative 6. So now for the y-intercept. I'm going to leave out the 2x, correct? So I have 8y equals negative 12. I'm going to divide everything by 8, and I get that y is equal to negative, wait, if you do divided by, they have a common factor of what, 4? So 3 over 2. So negative 3 over 2. So look, here it's showing me to have a positive, on this one right here, it's showing to have positive x and y intercept, right? But both of our x and y intercepts are negative. So we can get rid of h. The same thing with f. They're showing that both of them are positive. So we can get rid of that one. Over here on G, it's showing a x-intercept of 6. And I would say that this looks like it is that negative 3 over 2, which is negative 1.5, right? If you were to put it as a decimal, so it has to be G. All you gotta do is find your x and y intercepts. Ready to flip it over? That's how I'm done. Number 8. Given the equation below, which equation shows the correct first step? What would be our first step here? What do we notice that we have on the same side?
Add the
Like terms? Yeah, negative 2x and 10x are like terms. So when I combine these, I get what? 8x, because you got to consider that negative. So it would be 23 equals 8x plus 6. So which one is that?
So wait, how do we get 8?
J.
How do we get 8 again?
Because of the negative 2x and the 10x. Those are like terms that we can combine.
The next. Oh, you add.
We add them up, and that gives us 8x.
How are those like two?
Because they both contain a variable x. Number 9, identify the slope and y-intercept of the linear equation. So we have 5x minus 3y minus 12 equals 0. Can we find, just by looking at this equation right here, can we find our slope and y-intercept? No. So we're going to have to convert this to that y equals mx plus b. This time they have everything over on the left side of the equal sign. So we're going to have to move everything over to the right side with the exception of the y. So, bless you. So first, let's add 12 to both sides. Huh? Look at you, smarty pants. Let's do it like that. So how would we move the y? Plus 3y. So now we have 5x minus 12 equals 3y. And now what? Divide everything by 3. So then we have 5 over 3x minus 4 equals y. So Nehemiah, what is my slope? Are you just yelling out random things?
No, because I hear you say minus a lot, bro.
Oh. So random things. What is my slope?
Your slope. What number are we on again? Oh. Slope is, 5.
Over. 5 over.
What?
5 over.
3?
Yes. My slope is 5 over 3. We know that that's the slope because it's the one that's attached to the x. What's my y-intercept? Negative 4. Number 10. Solve the equation. So that's going to be for 10 and 11. All right, so to solve our equation, we first have to get rid of our parentheses, right? So we're going to multiply everything inside the parentheses by what's attached to it on the outside. So I'm going to say 0.5 times negative 12x and 0.5 times 2. So somebody tell me what those values are. So we have negative 6x, don't forget your x,
Times 1. I mean, not times 1.
plus 1. equals, now we gotta say, this is like -1 that's on the outside, right? Of those parentheses. So we're gonna say -1 times 10x and -1 times -2. Negative 10x, not minus. Plus, yeah, because you're saying -1 times -2.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be plus. Okay, so we got to get all of our x's together, right? So which one's smaller, -6x or -10x? -10x is the smaller value, so let's move that one over. We're going to move it over by adding. We're going to add 10x to both sides. So that gives us 4x plus 1 equals 2. Very good. Now we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. So we got 4x equals 1. And the last thing we need to do is what? Divide everything by 4. So x, what?
X equals 1/4.
1/4, or you could say 0.25. Because 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. Okay, ready for number 11? I know Alondra is. Okay. I said I know that you are. All right, so what do we do first? We have 99 equals 8 plus 7x. We subtract 8 from both sides. We get 91 equals 7x. Now what? We're going to divide everything by 7. And what is 91 divided by 7? 13? So 13 equals x, or x equals 13. Ready for number 12? I know Nehemiah is.
I'm ready for number 22.
Okay, so Nehemiah, what's the first thing we're going to get rid of here to solve for A on number 12? Please say the parentheses. Yes, thank you, Nehemiah. Okay, so we're going to get rid of the parentheses by distributing the 8 to everything that's inside the parentheses, right? So 8 times A gives me 8A, and 8 times 2 gives me 16. Yes. So now we're going to subtract 16 from both sides. We have 8A equals -27. I told you which one to choose. Is it right? I don't know. I don't know why it's not negative.
But I don't remember.
Okay, just let me get through this and then
I
I'll
feel
help
like
you.
that was a different one.
Time. Or here, right here. Morgan can help you. Please help her, Morgan. Okay, now what? What am I doing?
You divide. I got -2.
You're dividing everything by 8, and you're going to get that A equals negative. What? We took a big long break because of Natalia.
Oh my god.
What is it, Leo? -3,
You don't need to do that. So this is x now.
3.375, like that.
Y2. So you're gonna put. Is it y2 minus y1 or it's y1?
Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1.
Okay. So that's what you're gonna do.
Okay, so now 13, we're going to solve for G. So we got to get all of our G's together. So which one are we going to move? The 5G. We're going to move it by doing what? By what? By subtracting. Since it's positive, we're going to subtract it. So subtract 5G from both sides. Now we have 19 equals 9G minus 5G is 4G plus 21. Now what? Now we're going to subtract 21 from both sides. So 19 minus 21 is -3 equals 4G. Because this zeroed out. So now what do we do?
Divide.
We're going to divide everything by 4. And we would find that G equals, you could either leave it as -3 over 4, or it's going to be -0.75.
Alright,
The
guys.
review.
Moving on to number 14.
Number 14, solve for C. So we got to get c by itself, but before we can deal with the negative 3 that's attached to the c, we have to deal with this plus 5. So what are we going to do with that plus 5? We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So now we have negative 3c is greater than or equal to, what's 47 minus 5? 42. What are we supposed to do next?
Flip it, because we have divided, right?
We got to divide everything by what?
Negative 3C.
Just
Negative 3.
negative 3, because we want to get that c by itself. Because we're dividing with a negative, we are going to flip our inequality. So we would have c is less than or equal to negative, what is it? Negative 14. Because 42 divided by negative 3 is negative 14. Okay, number 15. Number 15 says write an equation in point-slope form of the line from above. Use the point in quadrant 4. So remember, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So they're talking about this point right here. But what do we need also? Our slope. So we got to use 2 perfect points. Okay, so we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. So our equals 4 over 1, which is just 4. It's up. What is this point right here? What's the x value? No, this point is 1.
1 point.
And then what is our y value? Negative 1. So that's the point we're using to write it in point slope form. Because remember, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we're going to have y, what? Plus 1 equals 4 times.
X minus 4.
Very good, Carter. Okay, ready for number 16? Almost. Write a linear equation, f of x, of the table below. So, how can I write this equation? What can I use? Stat edit is what I want to use. Is someone doing it?
Me?
Thank you, Carter. Thanks.
You're going to be, you try harder right now.
Who?
Leo.
Nehemiah, what do you got in your hand? Stand up. Pull your pockets out.
Yeah, my phone's not working.
I know. I can see you pulling it out, looking at it.
I have y equals
But I can
negative
see you.
5x plus 2.5.
Say what? Say what? What is it? Y equals?
Y equals negative 5 plus 2.5. Hey, wait, y equals negative 5x
Negative 5x
plus 2.5.
plus 2.5. Good job. Ready for 17. Okay, 17 says, using your answer from number 16, write the equation of a line that is parallel to the line of f of x. Oops, we were supposed to use f of x, right? Instead of y. So if it's going to be parallel, do we do anything to the slope? No, that's perpendicular. So the slope is going to stay the same. What has to change? The y-intercept. So we're going to have negative 5x, and then whatever y'all want it to be the y-intercept. What do y'all want? 3. Okay, I heard 3 first. Plus 3.
So get 2 4s.
Use plus 4 on your paper. Awesome. All right, number 18. It says write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the graph shown on the graph below. So, right, we have to have a different slope. So let's first find what our slope is here. So I have a perfect point here and a perfect point here. So it's our current is, what is it? Going down 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 1 over 4. So in order to have a graph that's perpendicular, my slope has to become what? Positive what? 4 over 1, which equals what? 4.
Just say 4.
All right, number 19. Identify the slope of a line that is parallel to the line 2x plus 6y equals 12. Do I know what my slope is from this? No, because this is standard form, so I need to convert it to slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b.
So we leave it at the y?
What do we need to do? Yeah, we're trying to get y by itself.
Oh, beat out the x.
No, we're not looking for the x and y intercept. We want to convert it to this, to y equals mx plus b. So,
We add 2x,
not add it, we're going to subtract 2x. The only reason we're subtracting is because it's positive.
Yeah.
So subtract 2x from both sides. So you got 6y equal, hold on, negative 2x plus 12. Now what?
Now you can divide everything by 6.
Now we're going to divide everything by 6. And we get y equals negative, this will reduce, right? Negative 2 over 6 will reduce to 1 over 3. So we have negative 1 over 3x. You know it, girl. 12 divided by 6 is what? Plus 2. Okay, so what does my slope have to be in order for it to be parallel to this line?
Negative 1 over 3.
What?
Negative 1 over 3.
We're going to keep it the same. So it would have to be the same. Negative 1 over 3.
The y intercept has to be. No, we need it.
Okay, so identify the slope of a line that is perpendicular to 2x plus 6y equals 12. We already found the slope for this one. So what does my new slope have to be?
3.
So 3. We could say positive 3 over 1, which is just going to become 3. It's the opposite reciprocal. Okay, number 21. What is the slope of a line that is parallel to the line y plus 1 equals 6 over 5 times x minus 4? What would that slope have to be?
6 over 5.
6 over 5. Last one. 22. What is the slope of a line that is perpendicular to the line y plus 1 equals 6 over 5 times x minus 4?
Negative 5 over 6.
Very good. It's going to be the opposite reciprocal, which is going to be negative 5 over 6. Okay.
Turn this in.
You can turn this in to me tomorrow and get 5 extra points on your test.
I'm gonna go to your YouTube for this.
My guy, he's like.
What?